Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam. Sorry for a bit late. We don't have internet connection right now, so
Okay, okay,
it took
sir.
me some time to connect the phone.
Okay, sir. It's okay. So, shall we start, sir?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Our MAGPHY release and valedictory function. It gives me immense privilege to invite our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. M. Sendilvelan, Professor and Head, Department of Nonlinear Dynamics, Bharathasan University, Trichy, who despite his busy schedule has found time to grace this occasion. And I extend my red carpet welcome to all our physics family. On behalf of our department, we are delighted to offer a gracious welcome to all of you. Prayer. When you pray, God listens. When you listen, God talks. When you believe, God works. Here comes Miss Messina and Miss Reena to invoke the Almighty.
Vituntoda.
Bible reading. A reading from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verses 11 to 14. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will hear you. You will seek me and find me, when you seek me with all your hearts. I will found by you, declares the Lord, and I will restore your fortunes and gather you from all the nations and all the places where I have driven you, declares the Lord, and I will bring you back to the place from which I sent you into exile. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Prayer. God, our loving Father, we thank you for the completion of another academic year and for giving us the opportunity to be a part of this prestigious institution. We are grateful for your guidance and love in each and every aspect of our college life. Bless and guide our students as they reach this end and as they start new beginnings. Grant them solace and strength to boldly face the world outside. May whatever they have learned here help them to make the world a better place, to serve others in true solidarity and kinship, to seek ways to help the poor and those who are suffering, and to always seek the greater good. We thank you, Lord, for our wonderful teachers who give of themselves each day in the classroom, serving and instructing the next generation of this land. Fill their hearts with courage, strength, wisdom, peace, and joy. Though we are leaving our campus, let the bonds created here remain strong despite any distance. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns forever. Amen.
Thank you, girls, for making us to feel the presence of God. If the sign on your heart says welcome, the love will come in pouring from everywhere. Now I would like to call upon Ms. S. Babiana, Assistant Professor, to welcome our gathering.
The Lord is good to all, and his tender mercies are over all his works. Don't wait for someone to bring you flowers. Plant your own garden and decorate your own soul. It's a glorious moment to extend my warm wishes on behalf of Physics Department. I want to convey my heartfelt gratitude to our Secretary, Reverend Sister Dr. Niranjana Antonisamy, who is a person with high aspiration and credibility. I am really privileged to to have this pleasant task of welcoming our principal, Reverend Sister Dr. Christina Bridget. Her presence is always a moral boost for us. I warmly and respectfully welcome the chief guest, Dr. Senthil Velan, is the guest of honor. Dr. Senthil Velan, Professor, Head, Department of Nonlinear Dynamics, School of Physics, Bharatdasan University. He has completed his PhD in Bharatdasan University. He has completed his postdoctoral fellowship in Australia, Brazil, and Italy. He has to his credits many research projects. 8 scholars were awarded PhD under his guidance. He has published 119 research papers in reputed international journals and 17 papers in international proceedings. He is also a member of various professional bodies. Sir, we are indeed grateful for graciously and readily accepting our invitation. Now, I am pleased to invite our HOD, Dr. A. Inigo Mary Rita, who has always been with us. I extend a warm welcome to energetic and enthusiastic staff members of our department. A special word of welcome to VPs and deans of our college. Change our life, but the ideas of the you people can change the course of the world. Last but not the least, I extend a red carpet welcome to our vibrant students who are idea makers. Sharing our idea with others is the best way for creating more ideas. So let us share and discuss our ideas. Once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you, ma'am, for the incredible warmth of your reception. Minutes. May I now request Ms. Martina to read Minutes of Physics Association?
I welcome retired Professor Dr. Ms. J. Malati, Department of Physics, Holy Cross College. I welcome you, ma'am.
The International Webinar on Advanced Functional Materials, IWAFM 2021, was organized by Dr. A. Inigo Mary Rita, Department of Physics, Ms. A. Jasmine Banu, Physics Association President, Ms. S. Babiana, Physics Association Secretary, and Ms. A. Jayalakshmi, Physics Association Vice President, PG and Research Department of Physics, Holy Cross College, Autonomous, Trichurapalli on February 15, 2021, through Google Meet platform. The international webinar began by invoking the blessings of the Almighty through the prayer service, followed by the presidential address delivered by Reverend Sister Dr. A. Christina Bridget, Principal, and the welcome address was rendered by Dr. A. Inigo Mary Rita, Head of the Department of Physics, Holy Cross College, Autonomous, Trichy. The inaugural address was delivered by Dr. A. Denison Savariraj, Research Professor, Suncheon, National University, South Korea. Dr. A. Jennifer Christie, Assistant Professor of Physics, introduced the first speaker of the session, Dr. A. Denison Savariraj, Research Professor, Suncheon, National University, South Korea. Dr. A. Denison Savariraj delivered the talk on Advanced in Engineering Metal Organic Frameworks for energy storage applications. He emphasized that MOFs serves as a promising candidates for energy harvesting and storage applications such as solar cells, supercapacitors, batteries, fuel cells, and hydrogen storage. Dr. J. Emima Jeronisha, Assistant Professor of Physics, introduced the second speaker of the session, Dr. Vijay Sankaran Asokan, researcher, Chalmers University of Technology, Gothenburg, Sweden. Dr. Vijay Sankaran Asokan elaborated on the topic electron and hole transport layers in perovskite solar cells, PSC. He discussed about the generations of solar cells, photovoltaic principles, and the basic parameters of the solar cells. He stressed on the fact that the perovskite perovskite solar cells has become the rising star in the third generation thin films photovoltaic technologies and is attracting broad attention in both academic and industrial community. The third session of the webinar was carried by the speaker, Dr. G. Kalaiselvan Ganeshan, Research Associate, Quantum Matter, Department of Physics, the Cavendish Laboratory, University of Cambridge, United Kingdom, and Ms. M.D. Mercy Jennifer, Assistant Professor, Holy Cross College Autonomous, Trichy, introduced the speaker to the participants. He began his presentation on the topic pressure effect on high TC superconductors. He discussed about the BCS theories and then explained about the superconductors, history, classifications, various superconductivity elements and other new superconductors and applications of superconductors. Ms. A. Jasmine Banu, Assistant Professor of Physics, Association President, delivered the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Martina, for recollecting the memories. Talents and skills are the crops that are nurtured, groomed, and given all possible opportunities to grow and bloom. Our students' creativity were poured in the different shades in our magazine. The main theme of our MAGPHY 2021 is to tap the potential of the students in the field of physics and to provide a platform to exhibit their innovative ideas in the form of articles. It really enhances the creativity of the students to assimilate the principles, facts, concepts, and news related to physics. Our students explored their ideas by various means such as essay writings, cartooning, painting, pencil sketching, poem, puzzles, riddles, memes, and etc. Now I request our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. M. Senthil to release the MAGPHY and say a few words about magazine.
Madam, madam. மேடம்
சார் சொல்லுங்க சார். எஸ் சார்.
எப்படி மேடம் ரிலீஸ் பண்றது, என்ன ப்ரொசீஜர் வச்சிருக்கீங்க?
Just to say a few words, sir. Then they will show a video about this magazine.
Okay.
Just you say that I am releasing this magazine, and then say some words about that. Yeah. Then students will show a video about this releasing of this video. And magazine releasing, they will show a video.
இல்ல மேடம், நீங்க ரிலீஸ் பண்ணிருங்க, நான் அதுக்கு அப்புறம் பேசிக்கிறேன். அது ஈஸியா இருக்கும்.
Okay sir. Okay sir.
நான் பாத்துட்டேன்.
Yes sir. Yes.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yes, sir. That's all, sir.
Madam, shall I start?
Yes, yes, sir.
So, good afternoon to everyone. I feel honored being invited to the physics research department of physics, Holy Cross College Physics Association meeting. And in fact, this is my first visit, of course, even though I'm not officially be there, I mean, physically be there. I'm happy to take part in the Physics Association meeting. I know some of the faculty members, even though I don't know all of them. And I'm happy in the sense that I'm taking part in the Physics Association meeting, which is one of the oldest colleges in Trichy. And I heard about the college. This time they got a very high score in NAC. In fact, they got the first rank in NAC credit. So in that sense, I feel very happy to be there. And I saw the magazine released by physics students in our college, and even I got surprised because even in the Corona period, many students took part in publishing articles in the college magazine. What I get more surprised is more people is inclined towards the topics on quantum mechanics. It's more or less related with the quantum mechanics. Many people, for example, they draw pictures about Einstein and they give ideas about photon and other things. In that sense, it's very strange because there are many other topics in physics, but many students stick to quantum physics. Anyhow, and I noticed that many undergraduate students take part in the articles. This is a bit surprising because in some sense, anyhow, I wish the students should take part actively in every year and publish. Rather than cartoon, you can go and start writing some articles in physics. Even though if it is, the topic is well known to others, you can start practicing in writing articles, small papers. It will help you to improve your writing skills as well as what you have exposed to physics earlier. So with these ideas, I wanted to give a small talk on what I have read in the recent days. Are you able to hear my voice, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. The internet was down again for a few minutes.
Okay.
So now I'm able to connect it. So, are you able to see the slide, madam?
Yes, it's visible.
Sorry for a few minutes.
Okay, it's okay, sir. Continue.
So, this is a valedictory function, so I don't want to talk much on physics. Rather than I wanted to recall a small story about Vikram Sarabhai, who has contributed a lot to the nation. So this is the lockdown period. It happened to read the biography of Vikram Sarabhai. So after reading the book, I decided to share what I read to the students. So today it happened to share some of the things which I have read during the Corona period. So the book which I have read is the name of the book is Vikram Sarabhai, A Life. That is the book. It was written by Amita Shah. So most of the things which I'm going to talk about today, you can see in this book. Okay? So I'm just going to recall what I read from these books. So, and when I read this book, I got surprised by knowing several things. Okay? How one have worked to develop the nation to this extent. So let me start from his family background. So Vikram's ancestors, means a great grandfather, are rich merchants in Gujarat. In particular, his ancestor, Karamchand Panchand, he was doing some kind of business. And in the middle of 19th century, and they looked for new avenues of generating wealth. They deviated from the conventional business. And his son, Karamchand's son, MAGPHY Karamchand, he was a major shareholder in the Ahmedabad spinning and weaving company, which is a very big mill in those days. And his grandson, MAGPHY's grandson, is Sarabhai. Okay. And MAGPHY, I told you, he was a businessman, so he bought a mill and expanded his business. And that founded the, but unfortunately, MAGPHY and his wife died in a very young age. When he died, they had 3 children, okay? Anusuya, Kanta, Ambalal. Okay? And among the 3, Ambalal was Vikram's father. And since MAGPHY died at very young age, Ambalal was brought up by his paternal uncle. And unfortunately, his uncle was also died when Ambalal was 18 years old. And since his uncle died, he took over charges of the business. In fact, he took over in charge of 2 mills, Caligo and Jubilee. And this sudden elevation as a director of these mills made to implement some of his experimental ideas into practice. For example, he had some ideas, and he was able to implement all his new ideas to develop the business because there was nobody to restrict him. He often traveled to England in connection with his business, and he got married to a lady named Sarla Devi. And he was developing the business, Ambalal, Vikram Sarabhai's father. He was developing the business in a big way. For example, at that time, he was running several things. He was owner of textile mills, a sugar mill, which was in Bihar, and he was taking care of a railway line in East Bengal, and he was doing business in abroad, including Tibet, East Africa, and London. So you can see how rich he was. And after getting married, Vikram Sarabhai's father moved to a new house. Okay, he started developing a new house, and that house is very big. See, the house is he built a house in 21 acres. It's a very big house, and that house contains 50 rooms, and it has a swimming pool, badminton court, karaoke court, and cricket ground, and everything. And in 1990, exactly 2 years before Vikram was born, and to give a best education to their children, Ambalal decided to open a school near to their home because they were rich people, so they decided to open a school exclusively for their children. And he recruited the teachers in the best way. For example, out of 12 teachers in the school, 3 were PhD. You think it is around 100 years old, 1925, around 1925, he recruited teachers who were PhD degree. And 3 were graduated from European universities in those days. And the rest of were local stalwarts. And so he wanted to give a best education to the children, so they recruited the best teachers. And this is a private school, and they can take the examinations through a government-run high school. To him or his friends, and many people at that time used to visit his house, because Vikram Sarabhai's father is a very influential person and very well-known businessman in India. So many people, including Tagore and several other people, Sir C.V. Raman, and several other people used to visit his house. And since he is a businessman, during vacations they go outside. Ambala, Vikram Sarabhai's father. They while going their vacation, they also invite their servants and other people and the teachers to come with us further too. And during the school days, Vikram started loving the science subjects. And by recognizing interest in science, his parents set up a workshop in their location. In particular, a physics and chemistry lab were also set, because the money was not a constraint. So they gave all facilities to learn things for their child. In fact, they said the school library contained several foreign magazines and technical journals. See, they subscribed many international magazines. So that the students who study there abreast of their knowledge. After matriculation, Vikram joined junior college. You can say some kind of junior college at Pujar, and studied 2 years there. After 2 years, he got admission in Cambridge, and he started living to Cambridge in 1937. And he was studying in England for 2 years, and after 2 years, the war started. And so Ambala insisted their children to come back to India. By that, within the 2 years, but Vikram has completed his math course, which is a kind of degree which Cambridge was offering at that time. He completed 2 years, but before leaving, because his father was insisting to come back to India, so he has to come back. But before leaving England, he asked the Cambridge authorities whether I can continue my studies in India. The people in Cambridge, they said, okay, you can continue your research, provided you should work under the guidance of Professor Raman, because Raman was well known at that time, and his works were recognized in England. So they said, if you work under Professor Raman, then they can take their whatever he is studying there. And 1940, he was back in India and headed to Bangalore, because Sir C.V. Raman was working in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. So Vikram moved to Bangalore. And as I said, Vikram's father is well known to many people in India. So Professor Sir C.V. Raman also know Vikram's father. So he took Vikram under his supervision. And 1940s, it was an exciting time for physics. There were many discoveries were made during that time in physics. In particular, splitting of atoms, bombarding elements with alpha particles, artificial radioactivity, and there are several things. But Vikram was interested in studying cosmic rays. And you might have studied cosmic, because you came from physics background, so you might have heard about cosmic rays and their origin. I just wanted to recall Millikan, a physicist, coined the term cosmic rays. And cosmic rays are nothing but radiations coming out from outer space. At that time, not much known about the radiations at high at high altitudes. Okay. So when he met Raman, he said he's interested doing research in cosmic rays. So Raman agreed, okay, you can continue your work on cosmic rays. Okay. But what he was interested, Vikram was interested, he wanted to study how the intensity of cosmic rays varies with respect to height. Okay. When you go higher and higher altitudes, how the intensity of cosmic rays varies. Okay. And he was measuring the intensity of cosmic rays using Geiger counter, which you are also familiar from your graduation days. Okay. So an instrument which measures the cosmic ray intensity. But Raman suggested him to use photographic emulsion plates rather than Geiger counter. But Vikram didn't agree to Raman. He said, I'm fine with the Geiger counter, so I used Geiger counter. Raman didn't say anything. But interestingly, what happened? Another physicist, Pavel, who used this photographic emulsion plate, he won Nobel Prize. So see, a person who didn't take care of the idea, but another person who used that idea got Nobel Prize. So, and not only Vikram, but also several physicists, because of this war, came back to India and started working in several laboratories. One such person was Homi Bhabha. Okay. He also working in England, and he came back to India because of war, and he was working in Indian Institute of Science. When Vikram was, Homi Bhabha arrived a little bit before Vikram. And once they got acquainted, Homi Bhabha and Vikram, they become close friends. Okay, because there are many reasons. Because Baba was also working on, Homi Bhabha was also working on cosmic rays, but on different aspects. And they become close friends because they came from the same part of India, western part of India. Their culture is the same, food is same, so they became friends. Okay. They're not only doing science, but also they're doing some cultural works. Okay. For example, at one time, Baba and Vikram decided to host a dance performance to raise funds for a charity. Okay. So to organize a dance, they approached a lady in Chennai. Earlier it was Madras. Okay. And he was daughter of a famous advocate at a High Court. And this dancer become wife of Vikram. So they became friends, and then they started love. So, and they decided to get married. Okay. So Vikram asked his father to marry that girl, and Vikram's father also agreed. And so the marriage was held in a very simple fashion in Madras. And thereafter, he took his wife to Bangalore and started continuing his research. And he also went to sometimes mountains because he was interested in calculating the intensity of cosmic rays at different heights. So he was carrying out his research. And after getting all the data, he came back to Indian Institute of Science and started analyzing his results. And he found that there are some small variations in the intensity. When you go upper and upper atmosphere, he found that there is a small variations in the intensity of cosmic rays from day to day and at different times of the day. He noticed there are some variations. But he was working very hard. Okay. Sometimes he continued his research on the whole night. Okay. But his wife, newly married, she came to see in his lab, and he said, wait, I will complete my research and come back to you. And sometimes he continues his research till early morning. But since he was very busy with his research, he encouraged his wife to continue practice in dance. And she was practicing dance at home. And 1944, after 4 years, the war was over, and Vikram completed his studies and gone back to England to submit his thesis. He completed his thesis and he was submitted his thesis in Cambridge University, where he included the results obtained in Indian Institute of Science. And I read that his examiner was Blackett, okay, another Nobel laureate. Okay. He was awarded PhD for his work. And after 3 years, Vikram came back to India. He didn't continue his job in Cambridge, so he came back to India. And at 1947, India was partitioned and became an infant country. A large amount of funds were allotted to scientific research. In fact, for example, the first IIT was established in 1951, and very large number of national laboratories specializing in different fields are set up all over the country. At that time, the country was giving importance to 3 requirements. For example, they wanted to develop industry, and they wanted to develop scientific research institutions, and they wanted to give electric power to everyone. So these are the 3 primary objectives at that time. And after the war, Homi Bhabha also decided to stay in India. Okay. He didn't want to go back to England. So Homi Bhabha was also decided to stay in India and establish an institute of fundamental research. He wanted to start a very high institute, high-class institute in India. And Tata, they are relatives of Homi Bhabha. They agreed to finance to start that institute. And 1945, Bhabha started Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. And after 3 years, 1948, Atomic Energy Commission has been introduced in our country. And Bhabha was made secretary to the newly formed DAE because it was a very new organization, and Bhabha was appointed as a secretary. And at that time, the story goes in another way. Kasturbai, another very rich man in Ahmedabad, very close friend of Ambalal. Okay, Ambalal was Vikram's father, and Kasturbai was a friend of his father. Okay, and they were living, and relative as well, I think. So they were living in the same place. Kasturbai actually asked Vikram to study the structure of industrial research institutions in England and Europe. He wanted to study how the industries can do research. Okay, so he asked Vikram to carry out a study on this topic. Okay, because he wanted to implement research in the industries. And in fact, Vikram agreed, and he gone to UK and US and studied how their industries are carrying out research. And based on that, they started this Ahmedabad Textile Industries Research Association, Atira. After that, we have started Chitra in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Okay, so these institutions carry out research, okay, with industry-related problems. And besides that, Kasturbai also gave funds to Vikram to start a new laboratory in Ahmedabad. And several notable scientists joined that institute as well. And this is the Atira in Gujarat. Okay. It carry out research-oriented problems in textile related problems. And this is physical research laboratory where they have started in Ahmedabad. And this is one Sarabai chemicals which I come to. Okay. And in 1950, his father divided the share to assets to his son, and Vikram got some shares from his family. Okay. As per the agreement, he has to run a pharmaceutical company. Okay. Earlier, his father was running the company. Now he has to take in charge Sarabhai Chemicals, which was in Baroda. Since he got in charge of this family business, he had to travel to Baroda once in a week. And it's a night train, I think. Most of the time, he asked his students to come with him for discussion. Besides this physical research laboratory and other institutions, he used to travel to MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston, to carry out research. And very interesting thing happened. During the initial establishment of Atira, Vikram conceived an idea. He wanted to introduce an industrial psychology division. Why he wanted to introduce psychology division? Because he wanted to understand the human problems involving when we introduce new changes in the industry. When you introduce some new changes, a young lady, Kamala, and this lady, he got married very early. Her husband was a magistrate, and unfortunately, he was shot by a man on trial while he was conducting a trial. And when her husband was died, she was 20 years old, just 20 years old. But she has completed her master's degree in Calcutta University, and she has completed PhD in United States. Okay. With this high credentials, she joined Atira, this psychology division. Okay. And Vikram believed that management techniques could be used for the betterment of society and country. Why? Because the concept of professional management was little known. Okay, I'm talking about the 1940s, 50s. At that time, the concept of professional management was not known to many people. Most Indian business were family owned. For example, when I run a business, after my period, I will pass it to my son. Okay. After his period, he will pass it to his son. So it simply passes from one guy to another guy, not in professional management. So Vikram decided to bring about a change to this, the routine one. And in 1956, after discussing with Kasturbai, he started Ahmedabad Management Association, okay, to conduct research and to provide training to employees of companies. So even 1960s, he had an idea that to start a management course. And in fact, it was the precursor to the MPCS, Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad. This idea was the first one. And this is a picture about Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. And what Vikram was thinking, he wanted to start a world-class management institute in Ahmedabad with the assistance from Ford Foundation. But things were not so simple when he approached. But he was able to start a management institute in Ahmedabad. And Kamala, okay, with her qualifications, she took in charge of the program. And Vikram was also running the physical research laboratory, and he was in charge of Atira also. So several people, he recruited several people. Okay. And not only he recruited, but he also insisted to go abroad and take training. Okay. And not only that, he also expanding his business. Vikram also started expanding his business. In 1961, he was starting a glass industry. And in fact, as I said, the newly recruited professors were sent to USA for training. Okay. This is one side of the story. The other side, 1957, okay, Russia launched a satellite called Sputnik. And Vikram, upon seeing this, Vikram also started thinking that why we don't have space program? Why don't we start some space program in our country? Okay. In fact, he approached the government and they got agreed. Okay. After 4 years of the launching of Sputnik in 1961, our government started showing interest in space research. Okay. And they wanted to do this research under the jurisdictions, DA, Department of, they put the space research under the control of Department of Atomic Energy. This is a Sarabhai with Homi Bhabha. And where to start the research? That was the next question. So government decided PRL, Physical Research Laboratory, Ahmedabad is the appropriate center to carry out research, which is related to space science. Okay. And in fact, in 1962, Indian government started a committee. Okay, they started Indian National Committee for Space Research, and they put Vikram as the chairman. Okay, to take care of all the needs. Then the next task is to find a suitable location to establish sounding rocket program. So Vikram Sarabhai and Homi Bhabha were searching the place, and finally they discovered a place near Trivandrum. The name of the village was Kumba. And this is a stamp released by our government after a few years. This is Kumba village. I told you that the space program came under the control of DAE, Department of Atomic Energy. So they take care of everything. And upon seeing the progress, several Indians from NASA and American universities were returned to India and joined this program. In fact, Vikram also recruited several people from India itself. Okay. And the people who selected from India has been sent to NASA for training. And upon seeing the progress of India, many countries came forward to help us. For example, to develop this space program. For example, France, they supplied a radar for the space program. Russia, they helped us in developing computers. America, they gave training. Okay, so several countries came forward to help us. Okay. And in 1963, India was ready to stage its first blast off. And 1970, Vikram's expanded the space program, the applications of space program, not only to some areas, but he expanded to agriculture, forestry, oceanography, and geology. Space program has included all these applications. And he thought, because why he wanted to develop space program, because he thought it not only research, but it stimulates growth in electronics, chemicals, cybernetics, material engineering. Because there was a simultaneous growth in several areas because of the space program. So he was concentrating more and more on space programs. But you see, already Vikram was engaged in several things. He was running PRL, he was in charge of Atira, and he was once in a while, once in 2 weeks, he has to travel to Kumba, and he was making trips to Baroda to take care of his family business, and he was often traveling to Bombay. So he was a very busy man at that time. And in 1963, we progressed much further. Indian government has given Vikram to go ahead for a Space Science and Technology Center to make a series of indigenous sounding rockets. And as I said, Vikram used to visit Tumba for a couple of days, once in every fortnight. Okay, he was used to visit a couple of days. And I told you that he recruited many people from India itself, and many people, some of them reached a very higher position later on. And in 65, he started a foundation for school education. But unfortunately, the next year, 66, Homi Baba died in an accident. So now, because Homi Baba was the secretary to the Department of Atomic Energy, and now since he died, natural question, who will take care of the Homi Baba position? And Vikram's name was suggested. And but as I said, Vikram was very busy with his already several commitments. But after thinking a bit, Vikram decided to take the secretary position because he wanted to contribute much further to the country. But one thing now he has to do, because he is occupying a highest position, so he has to resign his family business. Okay? Because if you are occupying a government position, you should not have family, you should not do any business. Okay? So he resigned all his family business and took in charge of the secretary of the Department of Atomic Energy, and he took the chairmanship. Okay. But DAE is not like space program. Okay. When Baba died, he established the DAE in a very big way. Okay. He made it as a country's largest scientific institution with almost 9,000 employees. Okay. So that is a considerable task was lying in front of Vikram when he took in charge of the chairmanship of DAE. But nevertheless, he started working. Okay. He sent several people from DAE to abroad to get trained in the latest technology, okay, including reactors, high energy physics, applications of radioisotopes, and other topics. And when they get trained, they come back and serve and update the things here. And during this time, his son grown up, and he also gone to Cambridge to study mathematics and physics. And Vikram was busy as usual, and with the satellites, he was continuing his research on cosmic rays. And interestingly, the results which he found during the PhD days were confirmed through the artificial satellites. And he continued to visit Tumba once in every fortnight. Okay. These are the photo of Vikram with his son and daughter. And this is with his son and his wife. And this is a family photo with his wife and son and daughter. As I said, he was occupied with several things. So this I can skip. And 1968, his son, after he got married to a girl, Rajeshri, and 1969, he inaugurated country's first nuclear power station at Tarapur. And 1970, his daughter, Rajeshri, got a boy. And by the time Vikram completed 5 years in the office, but he was concentrating more and more, and he was very busy. And since he was occupied with several things, upon seeing his routine works, his wife got worried about Vikram's health. And during Christmas, at that time, Christmas was approaching, and he, just a few days before, he traveled to Ahmedabad to see his mother, and Vikram came back to Mumbai, and next day he wanted to travel to Tumba to see the progress there. But just before leaving, he got a mail from New Delhi to come there for a meeting. So he traveled to Delhi before going to Tumba. And yes, because he was a chairman of DAE, so he has to go through routine medical checkup quite often. Quite often. And he went to medical checkup, and the doctor said he was nothing to worry. And after the meeting, he came back to Bombay. So on next day morning, he wanted to leave to Tumba. But his daughter is saying that, why are you traveling quite often? Why don't you stay with us for this new year? But he said, Vikram said, okay, I will join with you New Year celebrations. But before that, I want to go to Tumba and come back. And next day, he went to Tumba. 2 days, he was working very hard at Tumba to take care of the things there. And next day, he wanted to leave back, to go back to Mumbai. But at that time, I told you that several people he recruited from India got the highest position. One such person was Professor Kalam, and he was occupying a very high position at that time. He was called from Delhi to attend a meeting. So before leaving Tumba, Vikram spoke to Kalam and asked him to wait in the Trivandrum airport so that he can know what is happening in the meeting. So the plan was he is about to meet Abdul Kalam in Trivandrum airport and take a flight to Bombay. But he didn't wake up. On the 30th morning, Vikram didn't wake up from the room. Upon checking, the manager found that the door was locked from inside. So they got suspicious, and upon looking what is going on inside, they found that Vikram was sleeping in the bed in the normal way. So they opened the door and see what happened to Vikram. At that time, the doctor was also staying in the hotel. So the doctor has been asked to verify his condition. So after checking, the doctor said he had probably died a couple of hours before. So Vikram died in the sleep. So then his body has been brought to Bombay and then taken to Ahmedabad. So the funeral was attempted by people from various institutions, a physical research laboratory, Attira, DAE, ISRO, and from other institutions. And later on, Vikram's ashes were scattered in the Indian Ocean at Tumba. In fact, upon releasing his work in 1974, the US government has given a name to a moon crater after the name Vikram Sarabhai. So with this, I wanted to wind up with a few words from his son and daughter. And this is the picture of his son. And cutting his words, he and his sister, Mallika, were Vikram Sarabhai's biological children. And there were many students who were close to him. And his vision has been passed on from his students to the next generation. And I also want to quote a word from his daughter. I believe that a lot, this is a picture of his daughter, Mallika. I believe that a lot could have been different from this nation, for this nation, had he lived. But he lives in his institutions and the people he inspired and continues to inspire, and in us, his children, and in our endeavors and dreams. And this is the word from Buchanan, how much he spent time for other people. So with this, I wanted to wind up, and this is a stamp which was released by the government, and they gave honor to Vikram with Padma Vibhushan. This is his stamp. So with this, I wanted to point out, this is a story which I have read last year. So I wanted to share how much one can spend time for others and develop the nation. With this, I wanted to wind up my talk. It is already a bit late. So I told you most of the things I took it from the book from Sarabhai, A Life. Okay. You can also read that book. I strongly suggest, I highly encourage you to read this book so that you can know more things about him. I didn't share all the things in that book. So with this, I wanted to wind up. Okay. And I thank you once again to the Department of Physics, Holy Cross College, for sharing some of my thoughts with the BSc and MSc Physics students through Physics Association. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your appreciable words. Obviously, your words help us to step forward. And I also thank you, sir, for sharing your deep sense of knowledge about the contribution of Vikram Sarabhai. Your words were full of enthusiasm and valuable knowledge, sir. Thank you. Now, for the first time, our department HOD ma'am and our staff members have decided to give the Best Outgoing Student Award 2018 to 2021. This award motivates the upcoming students to be the best. And the award winners have been selected on the criteria: good academic performances and active participation in extracurricular and co-curricular activities. And the Best Outgoing Student Award goes to and she is Yashodhini of 3rd Physics B. Yashodhini has participated in Maths Olympiad exams. She has participated in model exhibition and won prizes. She has completed ECA course and learned photo editing and animation. She also has good academic performances. She has attended many international seminars conducted in various institutions and presented posters on global warming. Congratulations, Yashodhini. Gratitude is the fairest blossom which springs from the soul. Every celebration is an experience. The external fades away and the internal lingers and echoes in the most depth of our hearts. We are reminded that events like this one are the milestone on the journey of life and remind us of God's fidelity all through. As we come to close our valedictory ceremony, I invite Ms. N. Jayalakshmi, Assistant Professor, to propose vote of thanks.
A pleasant evening to one and all gathered here.
Gratitude makes sense of your past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. No matter what language you speak, a kind and smiling thank you always speaks to everyone's heart. I deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks in this occasion. Let me first start by giving glory to the God Almighty for the blessings He has showered upon us all these days and the days to come. I thank the chief guest of the day, Dr. M. Sendilvelan, Head, Department of Nonlinear Dynamics, Bharatdasan University, Trichy, who despite his busy schedule has found time to grace this occasion. I wish to extend my sincere gratitude to our Secretary, Reverend Sister Dr. Niranjana Antonisamy, our Principal, Reverend Sister Dr. Christina Bridget, for their blessings and constant support in all the things we do. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. A. Inigo Meririta, Head, Department of Physics, who always stand with us and guide us in all our departmental activities. And I'm also thankful to all the staff members of Physics Department for their concern and tireless involvement towards the growth of the department. I thank our well-wisher, Ms. J. Malati, retired professor, Department of Physics, Holy Cross College. I would like to acknowledge my sincere gratitude to Ms. A. Jasmine Banu and Ms. S. Babiana for all their meticulous planning and execution of all the programs for the academic year 2020-2021 as Association Staff Secretaries. I appreciate and thank the Student Association Secretaries and all the students of the Physics Department, for without you, this event would not have been possible. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The end of a story is the new beginning for many others. On this note, let's conclude a remarkable, memorable, and knowledgeable valedictory session. We sincerely thank all the dignitaries for being with us this evening and enlightening us with their enthusiastic remarks. I shower my heartfelt gratitude to all the professors and each and every one of our family for their wholehearted support rendered in the success of this valedictory session. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful and fun-filled evening.